Enter your spirit forms. Follow me to the spirit realm.
Hey, Joey, tell the Firefarers they better throw the next game.
What happened to Tenzin?
How do I know which one's the real Max?
What?
Who do I shoot?
Nerf gun, man. Oh god. Oh no, help! I'm trapped in the spirit world.
No, God! What have I done?
Danny!
Oh god, no! Spirits are everywhere.
Do you have a shot?
I got him.
No, Sean, you need to face your fears.
No, you don't get it. I'm not afraid of the roller coaster. I'm pregnant.
Hey guys, it's time to watch book 2.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Korracast, book 2, we're ready to go. Let's do this.
What am I saying? So, we saw the first episode of the Season 2 premiere at Comic-Con, but we have not seen episode 2 yet. So the second episode will be reviewed shortly in a couple days, but we've been sitting on this one for a while, so we're ready.
So we are going to be having a Tumblr exclusive giveaway for this episode. We're going to be posting this episode on our Tumblr, and what you're going to have to do is follow our Tumblr and then reblog that post, and you'll be entered into our giveaway for a Book 2 Spirits poster.
Sean, what happened in this week's episode of Korra?
This week's episode of Korra happened like this. In episode 1, Avatar Korra, Officer Mako, CEO Asami, and poor Bolin head to the Southern Water Tribe with Tenzin's family for the Glacier Spirit Festival. The crew meets Korra's family and is introduced to Unalaq, her uncle, who urges Korra to let him teach her about her spiritual side. Asami and Bolin deal business with Varric. Korra's cousins Eska and Desna confuse Bolin, and Mako just can't say anything right. A rogue spirit attacks in the night, and Unalaq appeases it with his strange bending powers, prompting Korra to reject Tenzin's tutelage. Korra and Tenzin's mentorship ends with Tenzin and his family departing for the air temples, and Korra taking a new direction in her avatar training under Unalaq.
Wow, so it's been a really long time, but we finally have seen the first episode of book 2. We didn't think it was ever going to happen, but we've seen it. So just top of your head, what struck you about this episode? Vince,
Okay,
what
right off the bat, we were wondering, are we going to see any more, Korra airbending since she finally learned airbending? One of the first shots is her on a airball race, with the rest of the airbender kids, and then to win it, she goes into the avatar state, just because she can.
So clearly Korra hasn't learned anything at all about the world.
No.
Sean, what about you?
Well, lots of things struck me, but one of my favorite moments was near the end when they're all kind of going their separate ways, and old Katara, is like, stay close to your siblings.
I think that probably is going to set the tone for maybe one of the themes. Maybe family is going to be a stronger theme in this in the season. We got Asami, we got Bolin. They're teaming up. They're hanging out more. Really, that's all they're doing in this episode. I don't know. Are we going to see maybe that going in the direction of a relationship? Is it possible?
Wait.
Well, the thing is, it could be, but then, Bolin from the start of this episode has a crush on Eska, and, she's in love with him now, and she's a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys, let's get into the meat of this episode, which is, of course, about spirits. Let's get into it.
Can we talk about the fact that they really didn't tell us anything at all?
Well, obviously, we're not going to get into, the details of why the spirits are angry. Okay, the title is Rebel Spirit. In this episode, spirits are rebellious. It makes sense. I mean, from the very opening, the very first shot, it's a couple of guys on a ship, just being like, oh, we're on a ship, hey, look at this. And then a big spirit attacks them.
Yeah, did it remind you of the beginning of Sharknado? Anyone else?
It totally
Actually,
did.
a little bit. Well, I mean, I saw this before I saw Sharknado, but...
They obviously stole it from Sharknado.
Okay, people are disrespectful of the spirits. They've turned this holy celebration into a goofy carnival where, plastic chibi eggs are getting thrown in water and people are buying corn.
How is that? Okay, I don't know if that's necessarily disrespect to the spirits.
Oh, it is.
I would say that the fact that
Or maize.
some of the philosophical aspects of and like spiritual aspects of bending have been lost. I mean, with pro bending, you know, it's more physical, it's not as much spiritual.
Basically, why this episode existed, it was to shift the direction of the series from she's now not learning airbending anymore, and now she's learning this. Tenzin is a smart person. He decided to resist it because there needs to be some kind of conflict. I mean, he as a spiritual person should recognize that a disturbance between the spiritual world and the physical world is something of importance, of which the Avatar is the most pivotal piece.
Yes,
Right.
definitely.
Her place is learning whatever needs to be learned about these spirits.
Yeah, I mean, at first when I watched it, I was a little bit surprised that he did not fly off the rails a little bit more when she says, "Oh, I'm going to go train with this guy." But from a story standpoint, though, I'm a little conflicted because it does seem like it hits a lot of the same beats as the first episode of the series in book 1. You know, she's confined in a place. She's being told what to do. Here's a new thing. She wants to go do this thing. She says, "Screw you" to, you know, the authority figures, and she goes off and does it. But then also, we can't have a Korra who's learned everything and who has matured. It kind of almost feels like, all right, well, we're going to tell a bigger story. She's got to be...
And at some point, she needs to be rebelling against something, even if it feels a
little forced.
She has to start the season with rejection of everything that she's built up to it, right? Otherwise, there's no journey for her. But also, I think it's kind of interesting on a greater scale for all of the characters. I mean, I think that's, as opposed to maybe the character trajectories this season that are going to be different than season 1, I think it's going to be their actual journeys themselves that are going to be different. They're all going to be fractured. They're all going to be split apart, all going their separate ways on their interesting journeys. Korra discovering what she's discovering and the spirits and stuff, but Tenzin and his family discovering all about airbending and the history, and they're probably going to learn clues that's going to tie in with that story, but Asami's going to learn this, and that, you know, so everyone's kind of going their separate ways, fractured on their, you know, separating, just like the spirits are kind of being drawn out and stuff. So anyways, I like that.
It'll feel much more like the original series. It won't feel as confined. You know, characters, like, it'll feel, I think, we're going to be kind of seeing how it always was cutting back between Zuko's story and Aang's story. We're going to get a lot more stuff like that.
Even in the original series, though, that was the only real, like, 2 separate threads. We never had this kind of a fracture. Like,
right,
I'm excited about that.
It's more like that, because it was really just, in the original, this basically 2 stories and then just 1.
And then they merged, right?
I mean, until Sozin's Comet, which was awesome, right? So when you had everyone kind of, so I'm
entire
hoping
season
like a
that?
season where everyone's, and you find out Tenzin and his family find out, oh my gosh, back then the spirits blah blah blah, as Korra's training this, and you're like, oh, that's because that, and they just learned that spirits, and
but they don't know yet, but they know, and then they're gonna have to,
We're talking about plots and plot devices and all kinds of things happening.
I'm not talking about that at all.
I don't know.
What?
We're talking about pizza and potatoes.
There's something very important that we need to talk about. The fact that Unklok is doing some sort of spirit bending.
Are we gonna call it that? Are we opening a Pandora's box and calling it
I
spirit
think, what else
bending?
can you call it? It has to be called spirit
He
bending.
took a spirit and he bent it into another
Well,
thing.
I mean, if they're treating spirit on equal footing as water, earth, fire, air, maybe spirit bending was the progenitor. Progenitor, the origin of all other elemental bending. If he was the Avatar, he's had the most power over bending spirits, the energy with all of us, like Lang Turtle said, but blah, and then he could bend the spirits.
So why can't...
But going back to Unlock, Umapapawwow, him. Did you guys get the impression from the episode that when he was spirit bending, it was a slightly like something's not right?
Right. Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
it was definitely giving us
Right?
reason to believe that
He's
it's not all that it seems.
Right.
It almost reminded me, in a weird way, of like blood bending. It's just in the way that it's like done. It doesn't feel like natural. It,
Right,
like,
I mean, Sean, kind of what you're getting at maybe is that in the way that we thought he was energy bent, Amon was energy bending, he was actually blood bending. Maybe he's not spirit bending, he's actually doing something else that we haven't fully come to understand.
I mean, I think that's also kind of going to why Tenzin and
Tonrak,
Korracast,
dead.
Dinosaur Hunter, is there why they don't really trust his spirit bending. They don't out and out say that he's doing something wrong.
Right. And going back to what you were saying earlier about how the Avatar maybe was the, progenitor of this whole entire thing, why can this random guy from the Water Tribe do it?
Right, and why have we not heard of this?
Why, right.
I'm thinking maybe he's the reason these spirits are being rebellious in the first place. Maybe he has them chained up in his dungeon.
Well, if you think about it, okay, he said he's from the Northern Water Tribe, right? I mean, we know that at the Northern Water Tribe, they have that spirit oasis. Who knows, maybe that the Northern Water Tribe has a stronger spiritual connection than anywhere else in the world.
Or that Inulak has the spirits locked up in his dungeon.
right, you guys. So we got introduced to a few new characters in this premiere episode. Mad, who's your favorite?
Mine was definitely Eska, voiced by Aubrey Plaza. Partially because I really like Aubrey Plaza, but man, that scene where they introduce her and she's just like, "You're my boyfriend now." Like, cool. That's gonna be a fun little thing to throw in the season.
Yeah, that was awesome.
My favorite was Boomy. He wasn't in season 1, was he?
Well, he was. I mean, he was kind of
Referenced,
shown.
but was he
they
ever-
shown him on the ship, but
He
he never said
did
anything. Yeah,
anything.
so
I consider him a new character this season.
You know,
I'd
that's
count
fair.
that.
That's fair.
Especially
Yeah.
since I think he will be a main character on Tenzin.
On Tenzin's Quest.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, Ryan, what about you?
I like Asami.
that wasn't a new character at all.
Okay, well, anyway, that brings us to the viewer response question for this week. Who was your favorite new character that was introduced in this episode, and why?
Thank you for tuning into Korracast. We'll see you in a few days when we'll have our review of episode 2. Bye, guys.
Bye.
we're waving.
A slow pan out. Slow pan out.
Just take the camera and walk
Real
backwards.
slow. Real slow.
Na, na, na.
Dun, 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 dun.